every day. Honored and pleased to be able to do my hobby in retirement. And I still say I'm retired. I don't know why I do, but I still say that. So there's all kinds of choices to start out with. Jimmy, I think this is kind of fun. Javon Hadley's a hell of a player, by the way. Louisville is loaded. Kentucky is loaded. And in some of these preseason publications, which to me are a little silly, but I will use them because it's, talk for fodder than if somebody ends up being 22 and all of a sudden a month later to number 5 or something like that. It's interesting. Or if you're, let's say, ranked number 12 and you can't win 3 games in a row and you bounce out, it's just talk. And it's okay. But many of these publications have Louisville ranked higher. They got a hell of a team. Kentucky has a hell of a team. So field is 68. Jeff Goodman. I like Jeff. Jeff is a character. Jeff likes to needle. Jeff likes to start stuff. And as I mentioned before, Jeff has become perhaps the most powerful media person in college basketball. His field is 68. As a matter of fact, I can't think of anybody's number 2 today. Saying in the history of college basketball, that would be silly and stupid and wrong. But today, his field is 68, which he got going. I don't know if a big-time coach doesn't do his show, and they trust him. And so he gets a lot of stuff on the record and then a lot of stuff off the record that he can use, just don't attribute it to the coach. It's really good. So he came to Kentucky. He went to Louisville. He's going to all these kind of places. And he was sitting with, besides Kelsey in another segment, sitting with Javon Hadley, who, by the way, he's a really, really good player. He led Louisville in rebounding, about 17 times last year, 12 points. 7 rebounds, 51% from the field. He's got some good toughness. And Conwell will be the second soundbite you'll hear. Average 16 a game from Xavier. So Jeff is pushing the narrative. He's pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, and he likes this, and I get it. We need rivalries in college basketball. We need rivalries in sport. Horse racing needs more rivalries. It's just a fun thing, as long as the hate part doesn't get too obtuse. And so Kentucky and Louisville, I don't think it'll ever be and can possibly be as strong as it was when they first started this series. It's just not possible. But it doesn't mean it can't be one of the top 3, and it doesn't mean it can't be maybe the top rivalry in the country. And not just from a Kentucky perspective. I'm talking from a national perspective. I'm going to be very curious to see what the ratings are for the game this year. I bet it's really high. Really high. I bet it's one of the highest ranked regular season college basketball games of the year for midweek. Plus, it's early in the year, which is kind of nuts. And I remember Kentucky said that they really didn't have any choice because Louisville couldn't find dates later on and that kind of thing, not throwing stones. But sometimes with schedules, these things happen. Okay, so here it is. Jeff Goodman is pushing and pushing and pushing, said, hey, we need hatred for Kentucky, Louisville. And Hadley and Conwell agree.
Yeah, no, we definitely do need that. I mean, we don't like Kentucky at all. Like, it's just like how it goes when you're playing for, the separate teams, whether you like it or not. But yeah, you do need that hatred in you a little bit if you want to play for either of the teams. Like, you kind of just, like, everywhere you go, like, people say, beat Kentucky, or when you're in Lexington, people say beat Louisville. Like, that's just kind of how, people, view the, rich history and stuff like that. So it's expected for sure.
It is expected for sure. And I like when he said, need the hatred. And by the way, I took this, and Jimmy, I bet you took it the same way. It wasn't like a hatred, like violent, nasty. It was kind of a hatred rivalry. That's how I took his comments.
Yeah, and I feel like, going back to what you said, it's not going to be how it used to be, but that's just because guys you're not staying here for 4 years to really feel the rivalry and feel how the fans really do hate the other school, but they know it's supposed to be big, so that entices the players to kind of lean into it and go, yeah, I do want to be a part of this rivalry. But it's not the deep-seated hatred that it kind of used to be.
And that's a huge part of it. The other part of it, since they hadn't played in 1,000 years, and I bet somewhere through the course of time, Jim, you've seen the picture of John Y. Brown, the late governor. Mm-hmm. He's in the stands with Phyllis George, and he's got a jacket that's half red and half blue.
Yeah.
Covered that game. Al, I'll tell you what. Anybody who tells you it's one of the nuttiest atmospheres, they're right. They're right. It was really good. Now, initially, Kelsey he was giving a speech at one of the high schools, and he picked on that little thing that happened between he and Pope, whatever happened or didn't happen, and he made a joke of it and kind of downplayed it. And Pope the other day in his press conference, he wouldn't even talk about it. He said, I should make up a story. I'm not, whatever. And so these guys are both being smart. Whatever happened, who knows if 2 bad words were saying, who knows where no bad words were saying, whatever, you're going to try to see a recruit who ended up going to Kansas, which the smart people who cover recruiting said he was going to Kansas, and so Pope got there a little late, and I guess Kelsey went in. You guys know the story, and something was said. I just found it interesting it took so long for that thing to get out. So Kelsey made a joke of it, and he did again because Jeff Goodman is going to ask about it. He's got to ask about it. It's a natural thing to ask about it, and here is Louisville coach Pat Kelsey.
I got a ton of respect for Mark, like tactician, strategy, game prep. And it really went to a new level after that, of the respect in that regard, because his strategy was just like, look, man, this guy's going to, I can wear him down. So he went rope-a-dope in the corner. And we just started, and like, I'm just drilling him with body blows. And the dude's like Paul Bunyan. Like, you can't, I'm like hitting bricks. I knew if he could land one, it would be like Mike Tyson's punch out from the 80s. Like, that one, it's over. It's over. So
you'd be like Peter McNeely. Do you remember Peter McNeely when Tyson?
Yes, that's exactly right. And then, it came to a draw. It was his assistants versus my assistants. It was a draw. I think I should have, won. I got cheated a little bit on it. But, that's the way it goes. I love Mark. It's a competitive cat now. And you know what?
How fun is it for college basketball?
So's this guy. Yeah, of course. So's this guy.
I think it's good stuff. By the way, I can't remember where I saw it, but one of the national guys said that Louisville has the toughest non-conference schedule in the country. I hope this is a trend that continues. UConn was trying to schedule huge powers, including Kentucky. And Pope is not ducking people. I want, and I've said this since I got here in the early 1980s, I have nothing against Moorhead. I have nothing against Eastern. I have nothing against, some of these smaller schools, but you should try to play a tough game every night. And if you say the kids can't handle it, sure they can. You have depth. You have a lot of players. You say the kids can't handle it, they want to play. They want to play. I was doing this story going back to the 1980s when I'm talking to the Sam Bowies and the Jim Masters of the world and all those kinds of things. Yeah, they want to play tough players. They want to go against tough players. They want to go against tough. It's more fun for them. It's more fun for you. And forever, I've disagreed with the schedule. Just forever. And I've said this a number of times before. I know this for a fact. There were times when Cal was having the schedule done, he would reject some good teams. Reject it because he thought it was too tough. And then he'd come out and say, we're playing the toughest schedule in the country. And I thought Cal was wrong. And his logic was, at least to the public, was that I got so many young guys, they're not ready for it. And I thought that was a chicken way of doing it. And I'm not picking on Cal because he's not here. I said it back then. Because guess what you do? You got a lot of young guys. Guess what? You get them to grow up quickly. And if you take a couple more losses, will you be more battle-tested when you go into the Southeastern Conference? Yes. Will you be more battle-tested when you go to the NCAA tournament? Yes. 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 Plus, these guys, we're going to the NBA. And you're ducking. So I applaud every tough game that Pope plays. I applaud every tough game that Kelsey plays. When I see that, St. John's is trying to up their schedule a little bit, I think it's good. Why are you afraid of losing? Seriously, why are you afraid of losing? If Kentucky doesn't play one cupcake and they lose, let's say, 3 or 4 more games, are they not going to the NCAA tournament? Everybody gets in the NCAA tournament. Could it affect their seeding? It could. It could. Tremendously? Probably not, but it could. It could. But do you live your basketball life playing chicken? No. Bring it on. Bring it on. Bring it on. Just a quick hat tip to the volleyball team. 4th top 10 team that they've beaten. They just beat A&M on the road, ranked number 3 in the country. I think that's really, really, really good. Ooh, I need to go watch them play. Shame on me if I don't go down to watch them play. By the way, Tatum Lorenzen, I don't talk about him enough, and my love for Jared, like so many others. You know, everybody knows he's wearing number 22 to honor his dad. WCPO just had him as their player of the week. And by the way, Highlands, his dad's team, they're now 6-1, and he's playing great. A couple games ago, he literally won the game on a touchdown pass late. I mean, it's crazy how good he's playing. And apparently the bigger schools weren't going after him. I wonder if that's going to change. Now, I haven't watched a lot of tape of him. I did see the touchdown pass, Jimmy, that he won the game late in like the last play, something like that. Boom. Not only was a perfect pass, but I look for something else, the clutch factor. This kid has a clutch factor that's really, really, really good. Now, I'm not saying he can play at Kentucky. I have no clue, to be honest with you, but I want to do a little more work and see how his season goes. And you know this, at times, players' stock go up during the year. I want to see. Talk about player stock. Let's cue up Jake Browning. I was wrong about Jake Browning. I really thought he was going to do a really heck of a job. I thought he would play like better than some of the lowest ranked, a few of them starting quarterbacks in the NFL. I was way wrong. It just is what it is. Look, he is ticked off, okay? And I stand by this. He was terrible for the Bengals. The offensive line was terrible for the Bengals. It's not all his fault. I think the problems with the offensive line exasperated his bad play. Still on him. I'm not shilling for him. And I've said many times that the Bengals, I think, were stupid when they gave Higgins the money and didn't sign a right guard. It's just dumb. Because the quarterback, Burrow, wants you to sign Higgins, you do that. And then you end up picking up a guy on the waivers who's a veteran to play right guard, and he's the guy that misses a block and feels terrible that Burrow gets hurt. Who the hell's running that team? It's just, it's dumb. You do what's best for the team. You want to placate Joe Burrow. I get that. But Joe, guess what? We got to protect you. And it's not like Higgins is really worth the money he's getting. He's not. Is he a hell of a wide receiver? Yes. Would they be better without him in a guard? Absolutely. So anyway, point is, Browning's lost his job. Flacco's coming in. I think he's 41 years old. I know he's over 40. And I appreciate his honesty. But he said something in here that really kind of bothered me. Okay? So he said how ticked off he is. I get it. I respect it. You respect it. Backup quarterbacks, part of their job is to help out the starter. You got Flacco coming in. He's starting the next game. He's going to take a crash course. Jimmy, I'm curious if you have the same opinion and I do. Let's talk about it after this comes out. It is Browning's job to help Flacco. It is Browning's job to say, hey, let's have a cup of coffee. Ask me any question you want. Let me do anything to help you out. That's his job. He's getting paid as a backup quarterback. But backup quarterbacks, if they're smart, are really good assistant coaches. There have been backup quarterbacks who have survived in the NFL for years, mostly because they were like a quarterback coach and a quarterback whisperer. And I hear this soundbite, and I'm going, his fanny is gone. They don't want him there. I got to tell you, I would be sitting down with him. He's supposed to be a really good guy, by the way. And I get how angry he is. I understand it. I respect it. I do. But you got to snap your fingers and say, I'm ticked off. It wasn't all on me. Yes, I played bad. And you're going to hear all that in there. And now my job is to help Flacco. Now my job is 100% to get myself ready, but more importantly, to help Flacco. And I appreciate the honesty, but I think the soundbite, it really, really stinks. Here it is.
The general theme for myself is, anybody that is going through some adversity, whether it's football or personal stuff, if you go through it and deal with it the right way, there's no way you don't come out the other end, a better version of who you were. And so, for me, it's like, I'm trying to respond the right way. Obviously, I'm pissed. And if I wasn't pissed, then I shouldn't be in this locker room. And it's important to me. And, I'm aware of the role I played in the offensive struggles over the last few weeks. And, but I'm also not shouldering the entire situation. And, I went through yesterday, watched my throws, tried to come up with some stuff that I want to work on, and just doing that.
A couple things. One, and I'm not trying to be mean, but Flacco's an old guy. I think he's a little brittle at his age. God bless him for playing quarterback in the NFL at this age. And the offensive line stinks. It wouldn't surprise me if he ends up being the quarterback again. But two, Jimmy, do you agree with me? Everything he said until the point he didn't say, hey, I got to help Flacco. He's a teammate. And if he can help us win, I'm here to do that. I got to tell you, if I'm the quarterback coach, I'm the head coach, I'm the owner, I'm the quasi general manager without the title, I'm ticked. I'm really ticked off. I sit down with him. And I'm not saying you cut him tomorrow, because then you're hurting yourself. Really, you're absolutely hurting yourself. But sometimes if you have a little private conversation, he could then say, okay, I'm really ticked, and you're right, I need to help Flacco. Rick Bozich doesn't have a Zoom invite. I wonder if we sent it to the wrong email. Rick, tell you what we'll do. Let's take an early break, and let me work on that. The beauty of what? Live radio and doing stuff. It's a beautiful thing. He has 2 email addresses, and I thought I gave you the right one. Could it be my fault? Jimmy, if it's me, is it always my fault?
I just copy and pasted the one you sent, so.
It's my fault. I just assume it's my fault. Actually, he has 2. One of them was DRB, but it doesn't work there anymore. So I sent the other one. Seemed logical, doesn't it? Anyway, before we take a quick break, do you agree with me that this soundbite really sucks? That if you're the general manager, you go, and he's supposed to be a really good guy, and I get the emotion, because he might not get another chance. And you know what? Halfway through the next game, he might be playing quarterback, and maybe he'll do a good job. And I wish him well. I actually like him. You know, he had one of the greatest careers ever in college, by the way, because he was in the Northwest. He didn't get enough credit. He had one of the greatest careers stat-wise also in high school. So you think I'm blowing this up, or do you think I'm bullseye?
No, I think you're right. Now, I wonder, did he say those comments about I'm here to help Flacco the best I can later? Did he just not say it in that specific, question and answer? But it didn't come off as a good look for him, just as a player. I get him being upset and all that. Every player is, like he said, if he wasn't, he shouldn't be in the locker room. But it just came across, and then he said, I'm not shouldering the whole blame of the offense. It's like, you didn't have to say that. Like, as the backup, you didn't play well. Yes, we all know the offensive line's bad, but the quarterback typically does not say that. They don't say, it's not all on me. Like, yeah, we get it, but you, as the quarterback, that's not your job to say that.
I agree with you. He shouldn't have said it, but it really doesn't bother me. But I can see why it would bother you, because he's right.
Yeah, he is.
He's right. He's right. Now, I can see another general manager saying, do we want to pick this guy up as a backup because he won't want to help the starting quarterback as a backup, and he throws the offensive line, which sucks, under the bus. I agree with you. And you're right. I thought of that. Is it possible he did it later? Could be. I doubt it, but I don't know, because that looks like they didn't send the whole interview out. Okay. So, yeah. But it looks like the first response. I've done this a long time. This probably wasn't the 8th question that asked. I bet they didn't get 8 questions. And I'll tell you what, I credit Browning for standing and talking. You can go over to him and he can say, I'm not going to talk. I applaud him for talking. I think you're supposed to talk, but that doesn't mean you do talk. And if he didn't talk, you can't rip him. If I'm the TV guy and I go to him and he doesn't talk, okay, I'm not going to rip him for not talking. I think that's wrong on my part. I think you have to ask. Now, if somebody says, why the heck are you asking me? Then I go, whoa, I'm just doing my job. But no, I would not rip him for not talking. You're right by bringing that up. I would bet 20-1 it didn't come out later. How about the XC60? My wife loves her new Volvo. I tease this. I think it's true. I've teased my wife about it. Jimmy, you haven't been married long enough, but I've been married 43 years, and I'm convinced my wife likes the Volvo, her new Volvo from Quantrill Cadillac, better than me. And I'm not trying to be funny. I think it's true. It's a new toy, right? What am I, Jimmy? An old toy. Yes. Washed up toy. I'd like to think she wouldn't have thought that 43 years ago. But you know what, Jimmy? I'm not going to ask, because I don't want the answer. Right? Don't ask if you don't want the answer. Not that I'm an expert on marriage. 43 years and I'll never be an expert on marriage. But the Quattro Auto Group, they are special. I'm telling you, this XC60 is spectacular. I can't believe how smooth it is. It is a hybrid. But we've had the car for a week and a half. You know how much gas Judy's used on this? You ready for this, Jimmy? Zero. My brother sent me an article in the New York Times about how much money you save on a hybrid, and it's crazy. It is crazy. So step up another level with a hybrid, and it's going to save you some money, and you can get maybe a better car than maybe you thought in your budget. I'm just saying this XC60 is great, and don't forget about the Subaru, the Outback. 0% interest for 36 months, 0, 0, 0, and if you go 72, it's 1.9. Quattro Family of Dealerships, the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise to get you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks. I trust them. 3 cars from them now. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no-filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313. Hi, this is Alan Cutler. The Quantrell Auto Group has a great deal for this month. Subaru. The Outback is special, so check this out. 0%. That's right, 0% interest for 36 months. And if you want to spread it out to 72 months, 1.9%. What a deal! 0% interest for 36 months. Don't forget, the Quattro Family of Dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
My name is Terry Schultz, CEO for the Rutherford County Area Habitat for Humanity. Republic Bank has really been a game changer. They have invested not only financially, but time to really listen so that we can move our mission forward. What I like about Republic Bank is they've come in asking, what are your needs? And I don't know that you get that any other place.
That's Terry's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Great selection of snacks is holding steady while the drive-thru service is rounding out the pack. They're rounding the turn, and it's Clark's Pump and Shop for the win!
Get in the winner's circle with Clark's Pump and Shop. Stop by and pick up 5-hour energy shots, 2 for $4.99, or Rolade sticks, buy one, get one free. Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Welcome back. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM. Honored and pleased to be with you. Rick Bozich will join us in just a couple of minutes. This stuff with Bill Belichick. Dan Wolkin wrote an article, and I need to try to get Dan on next week. And unless my memory is totally gone, he's from Lexington. He's been a great columnist for a long time. Did our show one time early on. His dad has a very successful business in town, and oh my goodness, the ripping of Belichick. How do you go to Nantucket, which Belichick has had home for a long time, on a bye week with your girlfriend? And by the way, some of the stuff with his girlfriend, I could care less. I really do. But some of it is a little ridiculous. Jimmy, you got a football team. You're 2-3. And you're getting the crap beat out of when you lose. And he's been a football guy his whole life, and he flies to Nantucket during a bye week? Is it me, or is that as bad as I think it is? How do you go on a team that stinks? How do you go? And here's the other thing I want to throw at you. So May is playing really well for New England. I bet you like him a lot.
Yep.
And recently had a hell of a game. And the report is that he told the PR people not to mention him in the notes. I'm sorry. somebody does something really good for Kentucky in football, and Slacks and Neely, they're putting in the notes and bragging. It's what you're supposed to do. Here's the other thing. This is crazy. So you got the pro day, like everybody has. New England scouts were not allowed to be there for pro day. And his response was, well, I'm not allowed in New England's locker room, so they can't come to ours. What about the kids on the team that might perform something that a scout from New England really likes, and they might have an opportunity in the NFL because of that? Jimmy, is this all nuts or what?
Yeah, especially because Vrabel is now the coach in New England, a guy that played under him. It must be whatever happened between him and the Crafts or whoever it is. I don't know if I've ever heard of that, or at least if that's happened before, it's never gotten out of a coach saying a specific NFL team can't come in here. Like you said, that's potentially taking money out of these players if a coach and a scout can't look at them.
Like a bitter old man. You want to bring in Rick as we speak? He really sounds like a bitter old man.
I just imagine, what if Mark Stoops had gone to his vacation home for this bye week and they weren't practicing these days?
Oh, we would crucify him.
Oh, yeah.
I shouldn't use the word crucify.
It'd be bad.
It'd be bad. Can I take that word back?
Yeah.
I think most people take that word the right way, but some people don't, and I respect that. Oh, Rick. Now, you are not a bitter old man like Bill Belichick. How are you, dude?
I'm good, man. Is he still the coach? I haven't checked today.
Yeah, one of the worst things in sport, Rick Bozik's kind enough to join us in 3 Hall of Fames, retired, living the good life, right? So you went to White Sox games and stuff like that. You took your grandson. Do I remember? You're doing some really cool stuff.
Yeah, I've done a few cool things. I'm going to do more as the fall progresses. My grandson's a cross country runner, so I've tried to go to some of his meets, and got a granddaughter and another grandson. I got to go see them. But a lot of fun. Main thing I'm doing is I'm getting a lot of sleep, man. It feels good not to go to bed at night worrying about what I have to do the next day.
See, my sleep sucks, and I'm trying all kinds of things.
Right, melatonin?
I'm doing melatonin. Helps a little bit. What's helping now a lot, I now meditate twice a day. I started about 3.5 years ago, once a day. And have I missed a few days? Sure, but almost none in the last 6 months. And I meditate going to sleep, and it helps me out a lot. But 3-4 hours later, if I have to get up to go to the bathroom, should I be talking about this on my show? Come on. You're laughing at me, Rick? Come on. You got to be the same unless you're my
I'm the same. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I have trouble going back to sleep. And then here's the other thing. I don't, if I do 6 hours, that's heavenly. I'm doing 4.5 is bad, 5.5 hours. You getting more?
If I work at it, I'll usually my dog will wake me up in the morning. She'll want me to let her outside, and then sometimes she'll let me go back to sleep, and sometimes she won't. But
okay.
The key factor, I think, is, and we can end this after that.
Please.
Is, get rid of the devices.
I just took us down the deep hole. Go ahead, Rick. I'm sorry.
You got to get rid of the devices. My biggest downfall is I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll get my iPad out and I'll look at a score or want to see a highlight, and then I want to read a story, and then they know how to grab your attention with some kind of a headline, and the next thing, 45 minutes later, you're still up and now you're wide awake.
If I do that, I'm screwed. Never. If I do that, as a matter of fact, I'm 5 minutes in. The other side of my brain says, "Why did you do that? You're not going back to sleep."
I'm not as smart as you, Scott. I do that almost every night.
I had to force myself. It wasn't easy to do. Okay, let's talk about you. It's nice to see your face and smile in conversation, but I know you might not be banging on the computer every day, but you're still tied in because it's in your blood. So I'm really curious your take on Stoops. I'm assuming you probably heard the soundbite, but I want to play it again. We've played it many times.
All right.
I don't know if you know the story I did, which he sort of denied, which is no denial and that kind of stuff. But I just want to play it, and then I want you to react, agree, disagree, whatever, and let's have at it. So, and I've talked more about it, but let's get your reaction first. Here is Mark Stoops, John Hale, who does a very good job for the Lexington Herald Leader, asked an obvious question.
Mark, there was a radio report that got a lot of traction yesterday that you approached the administration about negotiating an exit last year. Is there any truth to that?
I mean, I hate to give anything like that legs. There's zero. I told you last year, right? You know what I mean? You guys can write and say what you want about me, but I mean, I told you that there's zero chance I'm walking away. You know what I mean? Zero. And, you know, there's no quitting me. You know, so that's unequivocally 100% false. You know, and anybody says otherwise is lying.
You said at the start, we're not really
And I don't want to address that crap no more.
A couple things. I never said walking away. And I'm curious if you think he denied it. And I don't know if you've heard what I've said about it, especially recently, adding a little twist to it. But Rick Bozik's Hall of Famer, 3 Hall of Fames. It took me a long time. I finally remembered you're in 3 Hall of Fames without looking it up. Your take?
Well, first of all, I know you, and you're not somebody who's going to make something up, especially of that significance, and put it on the air. Because if you did, you wouldn't have lasted as long in the market as you have. You can't do that kind of stuff. So I'm sure whoever told you, you were pretty solid with their reliability, and there is some truth to it. He said the main thing I kept going, he said there's zero chance he's walking away. My interpretation of that is I'm not leaving unless I get everything that you owe me. I'm not going to take any less than that. And, you know, I just look at the landscape in college football today. It's not just a Kentucky thing. It's happened at Oklahoma State to Gundy, who was very successful. It's happened to Sam Pittman. It happened to the Virginia Tech guy. It happened to the UCLA guy. There's not a lot of patience anymore, even if you're the all-time winningest coach at the school. And Kentucky fans are obviously frustrated with the direction of the program. Stoops has added to their reasons to be frustrated with his mishandling the dalliance with Texas A&M, which I think he thought he had the job, and he didn't get it after the A&M booster shot it down. And he's in a very vulnerable situation right now. And then the leverage he does have is his contract. And I think these things are going to keep popping up. I mean, it's obvious that this thing isn't going the right direction, and the heat on him's only going to escalate unless he wins games that nobody is going to forecast that he's going to win.
Now, it's not like Stoops barged into Mitch's office or went to him to say this.
Right.
It's not true. You know this from doing this 1,000 years. Athletics directors meet with their coaches. It's a private meeting. What's going on? Very often, if things are going well, the AD will say, what can I do to help you out? Because a great AD is there really to help the coach. And if there's some problems, whatever. So maybe an athletics director said to a certain coach, you need to do a better job in the NIL. And maybe a certain coach says, you need to help me more. And maybe a certain athletics director said, you need to do a better job in the NFL. And maybe a certain coach who's feisty, and I respect that, said, you know what? I got to do the NIL. I'm coaching the team. I got to raise all the money. You didn't really help me. And guess what? If you don't like what I'm doing, you can buy me out. Now, I can't tell you that's word for word. Okay. Can I tell you that was the temperature? Yep.
I believe it. Yeah, I believe that. I mean, Stoops has publicly complained about having to do the NIL in the past. That's not, I mean, we've heard his comments in the past about it. And there's enough other, you know, Vince leaving for Louisville. There's a lot of things out there that indicate we all know where this is heading. When it gets there, I don't know. But I'd be surprised if he's the coach next season.
Me too. And I have this pet peeve. This has nothing to do with Kentucky. Because to me, Kentucky, Vandy, Georgia, they all have tough schedules. It's called the SEC. Yeah. When people complain about a tough schedule, I've gone this. Shut up. I don't want to hear it. Go play in the Pac-10, which doesn't exist anymore. I mean, you're here. This is what it is. You're either good enough or you're not. I just have hit a wall about anybody saying tough schedule. Vandy has a tough schedule. They're actually doing much better, and they're scoring points.
Missouri.
Yep. I don't know about this week, but as of 2 weeks ago, in the last, I forgot the number of years, the last about 30 games, they were in the top 5 of best record in the country in about 4 or 5 years. I'm getting that a little bit off the years, but the temperature, I know is correct. I had the stat at the time, but they've done very well. Let me throw this at you. You remember vividly, I'm sure, when Stoops made that thing, Pony up, pony up. And I actually defended him like crazy. First of all, I always say, if you don't want to spend your money on it, God bless, more power to you. I'm not telling anybody what to do with the money. But if you don't pony up, you're not going to have a program. You're just not. Now, people said, well, the timing was bad because he lost. There's no such thing as bad timing. He said it from emotion. He said it how he felt. He was right. And I defended him hard. Plus, nobody believes that Mitch was really into NIL for the first couple of years, and I think he made Stoops' job tougher. And I think Stoops has been ticked all these years, and he has a right to be ticked. But the bottom line is that he's not winning, and it's thrown back on him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree with all of that. He was resistant to NIL, and a lot of coaches were resistant to NIL, and some of them got out of the game because of it. That's why, I think that Coach K and Roy Williams and Jay Wright and a lot of these guys Tony Bennett are out of the game. They didn't want to be involved in that stuff. And I understand that, because, like you and I grew up in an era where that really wasn't. I mean, we suspected guys were getting paid, but not like this. And guys weren't like jumping schools every year. That to me would be the biggest headache of like, you don't know who's there from year to year, week to week or whatever. But yeah, I think that Mitch was slow to embrace it. He's been a big supporter of Stoops. He hired him. I think they've had a great relationship for many years. But when you're been together for as many years as they have been, there are going to be things that pop up. And yeah, I like Mark Stoops. I think he's done a tremendous job. I go back all the way to Frank Kersey. I've seen all the coaches that have come through Kentucky, and he's done the best job of any of them. But you reach a point where the momentum has stalled. It's not there. And he's made a couple of, to me, the biggest issue he's had is he's never totally embraced playing the game offensively, the modern style of college football. He's a control the clock, run the ball, don't turn it over, play great defense coach. And that's fine as long as you're winning, but when you're not winning, people grumble that it's not entertaining, and they look around and see other schools that are doing it a different way, and they say, why can't we do it that way?
My example is if Nick Saban can change, why can't Mark Stoops change?
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, yeah. Dabo Sweeney's not changing. He's getting heat now too. That's the world we live in. What you did 3 or 4 years ago is great, but it doesn't matter anymore. Used to be coaches had a longer, runway. They don't have it anymore. And as I said, it all turned for me, the whole Texas A&M thing, that turned things among a lot of Kentucky fans, in my opinion, because it said that he kind of viewed it as I might need to move somewhere else.
I don't know if we'll play this, but I'll just say this. It's a long soundbite. It's really good. But Christian Alt does my show all the time. You remember Chris? Mm-hmm. And I was surprised initially when the A&M thing came up, how ticked off he was at Stoops and how he is to this day. And yesterday, I had somebody else on, I know Derek Johnson, and he was very eloquent about how, I want you to hear this because your opinion is very important to me. And I wonder if you take from this that I did, that these kids, when they play, people need to know they're smarter than you think very often in the public, and they care and they have a feel for what's going on. Jimmy, give me a thumbs up when you have that Derek Johnson thing about A&M. Here is Derek Johnson. By the way, let me share this really quick before we play this. I didn't know this. I wonder if you did. I've done stories with some of the kids who've put weights in their pockets. Wesley Woodard did it. I'm going blank. Allen, who's probably going to go to the NFL Hall of Fame. Josh Allen did it to get extra weight when they're weighing in. Well, he did something I've never heard before. Wow. He took the bottom of knee pads and stuck them in his shoes because he was a short defensive lineman, strongest guy on the team, but he was, he thought he was too short. So he put the knee pads in his shoes to raise him up a half an inch or an inch for the pro scouts. I've never heard of that one. Have you?
Creative.
Thought it was very good. Well, first of all, he's a really smart guy, but it's really creative. Had you ever heard of that?
No.
No, that was new for me too, which made it even funnier because he's saying, gosh, why didn't I think of that? Anyway, this is Derek Johnson yesterday. I thought he was very poignant and right to the point. What happens when your coach accepts the job, which he did, was trying to put a staff together, which he was actually rejected by, I don't know how many, but at least one, if not more, UK assistants to come with him. And then the board at A&M said, we don't want you. This was Derek Johnson yesterday. And Rick, I really want your opinion. Here it is.
Completely disrespected, completely walked out on, because you walked in my house and you told me you were here for the long haul. Like, this is what all the coaches say. I want to see you graduate. I want to see you develop into the football player that I think that you can be. And then now you're out the door. Even if you come back, it's kind of like, I don't trust you anymore. It's kind of the same feeling, like, because trust is a really sensitive thing. And I say this a lot. Like, I remember when, God rest, like Jared, so when he came in and Dusty was the quarterback. And Dusty had a phenomenal year before, and then he gave the job to Jared, which at the time he didn't win it. The locker room was like, man, like, Dusty's from Valdosta. Like, if he'll do that to him, then I know he'll do it to me. And then so now you're like, and that's how locker rooms are, man. They are a strange microcosm of life, man, because like everything is intricate, and like when you're dealing with that many people, you can kind of cover that. You got 15 conversations or 14 in basketball, but you're not having 75 individual conversations in football every time something happens. So when that happens and then rumors start to get started, like, you can try to address it, but once it's out there and it's got some feet, it's going to be very, very difficult to get it back.
Former UK strongman defensive lineman Derek Johnson. Yesterday, Rick Bozich in 3 different Hall of Fames, kind enough to join us. Rick, what's your opinion of that?
I totally understand that, and I'm not surprised by it at all. If you have a leader who is trying to leave, not lead, it's a credibility problem of saying he doesn't really want to be here. He's only here because he didn't get the job that he wanted to get. He's not all in on this. And no matter what he says from that point forward, you have to stop and think, should I trust him or not trust him? Or what other job is he going to go for? And I saw it here at Louisville. People forget about Scott Satterfield. 1 or 2 years after he was here, tried to get the South Carolina job, or at least get an interview. And at first he didn't think it was going to get out, and it got out. And it ruined his it soiled his reputation with the athletic director as well as the locker room. And then he was dumb enough to do it a second time. And he didn't get the job, and he stayed, and he realized a year or two later that he was done here, and he left for Cincinnati. So you can't, if you're going to go for a job, you better make sure you're going to get it, because there aren't any secrets anymore. Somebody always finds out who's going to be interviewed, or they were interviewed, or whatever. And I think that was a big mistake, a miscalculation. It sent the message that Stoops felt like he'd done all he could do at UK. He couldn't take it up any more than he'd already taken it. And that A&M, with all the revenue and resources and being in a quote football state, might have been a place where he could achieve things that he couldn't achieve at UK. Plus, you start the clock over of, he's the new guy. Everybody loves you. At Kentucky, he'd already been there for 9 or 10 years, and people aren't warm and fuzzy about you anymore. And not all people are warm and fuzzy about you anymore.
I have an extra take on that. I agree with all that. I think one of the reasons, obviously, you want to go to A&M, it's just a much better job. You got more resources. And the second thing, I think in his craw, and I respect it, don't agree with it, but I respect it, that he believes if he had that kind of money, he could then take his system there, because he's have bigger athletes, better athletes. I'm not knocking the UK kids, but take a look at their lines and stuff like that. And his system would work there if he had more money. And I wonder what the rivalry in this, and I'm not saying anything negative, between he and Bob. Now, wouldn't he like to maybe get a national championship? They know he can't get here, and he's got a job that has everything in the world. And I think he was at a point in his career, I can't do anything else here. My athletics director isn't helping me, and I'm going to go to a place they're going, here's a Brinks truck. But if you don't win, we're going to fire your Fandy really quick. You can't get away with what you did at Kentucky. And so I get why he wanted to go. I get it. And the fact it leaked out, though, is crazy. And you cannot think that's not going to get linked out when the board people there didn't want him. In my understanding, they leaked it out like crazy. Like, this ain't happening here. And they were mad at the AD and stuff like the AD screwed up. The AD should have known he had votes for it. But yeah, when he did that, I thought he checked out. I knew he would go back and work hard, and I said that, but it's not 1 foot out the door, it's 2.
Yeah, I mean that's a negative in recruiting. I mean, everybody's going to say you're going to go play for him. Are you sure he's going to be there? He doesn't seem to be sure that he's going to be there. He didn't get Texas A&M, but you know what? He went to Iowa, and Kirk Ferentz he's getting up there in age. And I've heard that if Kirk Ferentz retires, that Stoops will be the. There's all different kind of ways they can negative recruit against a coach doing that. So we've seen too many examples of it being a bad deal of guys flirting with other jobs and then not getting them and trying to stay. And then, that was after a 7-6 season, I think it was, wasn't it? It wasn't after one of his 10-win seasons. So
Yep.
he'd already reached the apex of his time at UK. And like I said, I mean, I like Stoops. I think he's tremendous to deal with the media. I don't ever feel like he answers questions. He's polite. He's not disrespectful or condescending to the media for the most part. I think he's done a tremendous job building it up from what he inherited when he followed Joker. They were competitive in so many games against top teams. They had some bowl success. He sent a lot of guys to the NFL. They sort of had an identity, but I think he's taken it about as far as he can take it. And I've been, frankly, I've been surprised that attendance has been as good as it's been this year. I thought people had checked out on him a little bit, but that just is more of a testament to the UK football fans, who I think are vastly underrated nationally in terms of how committed they are to wanting to have a winning program there.
I do think the UK fans have been really good based upon not winning for the better part of the last 80 years or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But you know what? Across from the press box, a lot of empty seats last couple games.
Okay.
A lot of empty seats. So
Not surprising.
Yeah, and I wonder with Texas and Tennessee the percentage of Texas probably won't have as much as they would have if they were undefeated and the Arch Manning hype was big. I think that crowd is going to be not nearly as big as people think. But could I see Tennessee coming in and there being tons of orange, tons? Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. A little hatred going on. I think it's fun between the Kelsey thing and the Pope, and they went to see a recruit, and Pope was a little late, and what was said or not said, and they both have done a very good job of downplaying it. I think these guys both like each other, but I stand by this. I don't know what happened. It didn't happen. I don't know. I've heard things. I don't know. Something was said. Might not have been much. Something was said. But I do believe this. This has nothing to do with Pope. It has nothing to do with Kelsey. If somebody puts you in a headlock, even by accident, okay, by accident, I'm not giving Pope the benefit of the election because I thought it was on purpose. I'd say it. People get mad, and what do I care? But you could see how it happened. But now you have a little problem going to see recruit, and Pope is late, and he goes in. Now it's 1 and 1 equals 2. Maybe they can't be best friends because it's Kentucky Louisville. I get that, and you get that. I can feel your smirk, Rick. But there's got to be a little something there, and I think they're both really good at downplaying. Dear Lord, how many stories did you write with Cal and Patino not liking each other, and they really didn't like each other? That wasn't hype. They really didn't like each other. This is not like that at all. It's not even close to it, to whatever. There's nothing. But there's got to be a little something there because they're both competitive, and would you forget if somebody put you in a headlock even by accident?
No. I mean, that goes back to Crum and Hall. I mean, they ended up being great buddies. But, in the early days, Denny loved to needle Joe and was really good at it. And
He sure was.
there wasn't a lot of love there. And Denny knew how to dial up the heat on Joe. And he loved doing it. I mean, Denny was a card player. And he could do it with the best of them. He knew how to get his point across without being direct. He could go through channels, or he could make a comment and you could read between the lines yourself. You're right. Rick and Cal despised each other, and they weren't shy about letting anybody know that. And, even the most outrageous part of it was that I remember there was a big story about Cal in Sports Illustrated where he went out of his way to doubt the idea that Rick helped him get the UMass job. Remember that?
Yep, I sure do.
Oh yeah. And, two super competitive guys. And
I thought that one was over the top, by the way. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, it was. And, I remember, I'll tell you this. I remember when John Calipari came to UK, and I talked to one of his guys before he was actually officially announced. And he said, here's what's going to happen. John Calipari's going to come to Kentucky, and we're going to dog Rick Pitino, and we're going to run him out of the state. And I kind of laughed. I said, Rick Pitino's one in the Hall of Fame yet, but he's going to be a Hall of Fame coach. And he said, no, we don't like him, and we don't like some of the things he's done. And we're going to take over the state. We're going to get all the best recruits. We're going to get all the recruits that they want, and we're going to run him out of the state. And they pretty much did that.
By the way, you tell me no, I'm funny about not giving up sources, but this is a little different, but I respect you. I wrote down the name of who it was. I would bet you $10 I know who you spoke to.
You probably do.
Should I leave it alone?
Yeah.
How about this? I'll text it to you. I think
Okay.
I think that's the proper thing,
Okay.
just for a little chuckle between us. And by the way, I'm not being insulting to the audience. Jeremy Cole told me a nice story the other day. He does a show all the time, and I had forgotten about it till he brought it up. He was very close to Guy Morris, and when Guy Morris got fired that day, he went off on me, and it was off the record, and I never said anything on TV about it. Didn't think twice about not saying anything about it because I gave my word. It's a pretty simple deal. I got a big mouth, but if you give your word, you give your word. And he brought it up just the other day. And it hit me after the show. I think one of the main reasons he does my show all the time because I kept my word. Now, did I know back then that I was going to do a talk show and I'd have him on this? Because if you act a certain way, a lot of these guys don't forget. They're smart in that kind of.
No, they don't.
So, are you like me? The people that make crap up, or just throw something out there and don't do the homework? I despise them. It gives us all a bad name.
I try not to despise anybody because it's a lot of negative energy that builds up within yourself. What I end up doing is ignore them as best as I can, whether it's not read what they write or not follow what they put on social media. So I have a pretty narrow group of people that I follow. But if you're not trustworthy, you're right. It does cause problems for the rest of us in the media.
Yeah. And by the way, when I say despise this, I don't think about it a lot, but when it comes up, I'll hit it and then I let it go.
No, I know. I mean, I battle that. There are people that
it can be tough. All right. So, is there somebody you want to coach this team that would take the job
at UK?
Yes.
Other than Sumrall? I mean, he seems to be the most likely candidate. He's got a good track record. He's played and coached at UK. Is there somebody beyond that? I mean, am I missing a name that I'm not?
No. I do believe this on Sumrall, that as much as I honestly believe the obvious that he'd love to coach here, I believe he wouldn't. First of all, he's got to be asked, and first of all, it has to be an opening. Let's not jump through 2 steps ahead. I really believe that if he thinks he doesn't have the proper NIL money, he would turn it down if it got that far.
Okay, well, that makes sense. I mean, you got to have somebody who's supremely confident and somebody who doesn't mind a significant challenge. And I look at Schnellenberger when he came to Louisville. He changed the arc of Louisville football. And he obviously was a national championship coach at Miami, but he also was a guy who didn't believe in previous narratives. And when he came here and saw what Louisville had in terms of facilities, there's no way a reasonable person could have said, I can do something here. I went to Indiana. I've watched what Signetti's done. When he was hired, nobody thought it was such a great hire, but he's a guy who has changed the whole perception of Indiana football. You've got to have somebody who's got a little bit of that sass in them, who's going to come in and say, I don't agree that Kentucky can't be Tennessee or Georgia or whatever. I think Kentucky can be whatever it wants to be. And the fans need to believe that too. And the recruits need to believe that too. And you need somebody with a powerful personality who can convince people that we're not going to be held back what past perceptions of Kentucky football are. We're going to change that right from this day forward.
I like the word sass. I haven't heard that in a long time.
My mom's favorite words. I don't want any sass at
that probably has a more significant meaning than tossing it at me.
Yes.
As it should. I think we've talked about this before, and I knew Schnellberger, but you knew him a gazillion times better than I did. At least he knew my first name because I did enough interviews with him. It was Howard, Howard and Beverly. The word criminal is too strong, but it's almost criminal he's not in Hall of Fames.
It's embarrassing for the College Football Hall of Fame. And it's strictly because he didn't have a 60% winning percentage. And people can't stand back and say, but what did he actually do? Well, I mean, he went to Miami and rescued a program that was heading towards irrelevance, won a national title, set the groundwork for Jimmy Johnson to come in and win 2 more, and Erickson and Larry Coker. He went to Louisville, brought them from playing in a dilapidated baseball stadium to a nice, modern football stadium, got them from independent or whatever they were independent football back then to where they're now part of the ACC, won a Fiesta Bowl, won a Liberty Bowl, recruited a bunch of guys that played in the NFL, did flame out at Oklahoma, but then he went to Florida Atlantic, which didn't even have a program, and created one out of nothing. And I know they're not, a Power 4 school, but they're a solid program in their league. It's like, who's done that? This guy was a builder. Winning is one thing, but building is another thing, which needs to be respected. And it's absurd. I've written at least 8 to 10 columns about it. And they're talking about putting Les Miles in. Who thinks Les Miles was a better football coach?
Over Howard?
Yeah.
Over Howard?
Yeah. It's a joke.
Excuse me. Let me go and grab some grass to chew on. Over Howard.
Yeah. I mean, come on, man. And Howard was a great player too. He was an All-American football player at UK. I mean, come on. And he got the UK U of L series started. I mean, you could make a list of 10 reasons Howard Schnellenberger changed the University of Louisville athletic department.
Totally. Yeah. And by the way, he should have been the Kentucky coach, but that's neither here nor there.
Could have been the Kentucky coach. Yeah, that was a miscalculation. Who was the AD back then? Was that Cliff?
Cliff Hagan. Did I ever tell you this story? I get, I don't know if you remember Sue Wiley, the late great Sue Wiley, who was a pioneer as a female in the business and had one of the great talk shows. She had Ronald Reagan and all these people on that nobody was doing. She was unbelievable. She used to eat lunch, going blank. She was at the Lexington Country Club, and she calls me up. Okay. Alan, there's a guy sitting here with just like this, with a big white mustache and a pipe, and somebody says, she was serious, by the way, somebody says he's a football coach. Thanks, Sue. Slam the phone down. I scream. Mike Taylor is a sign. Get me a photographer now. What? Shut up. Get me a photographer. I'll tell you in a minute. We literally ran out the door. So I walk into the country club. The late great Ralph Gabbard, who did a great job at Channel 27. Ralph Hacker, Howard Schnellenberger, Cliff Hagan are all sitting at the lunch. I don't know if I was ballsy or stupid back then, but I literally walk up right up to the table.
Wow.
And Howard says, "Can I help you?" I said, "Yeah, I just was curious if you're going to be the next Kentucky coach, and after lunch, would you do an interview?" And it was like a Seinfeld skit, 3, 2, 1, you open the door and the guy comes in, and I get a tap on the shoulder. It's a waiter, very respectful. Said, "Mr. Cutler," I knew I was in trouble when he called me Mr. Cutler. Remember, I was a young kid then. "You're not allowed to be on private property. You need to leave and take your camera." And I went, "Okay." So what we did is we went out off the property, went on the sidewalk. And we went, however long lunch took, half hour or 40 minutes, something like that. And we have the shot. It's in the files. I had to use it a lot, of Howard getting in the car and Cliff getting in the car. And there's a long shot of them driving out of Lexington Country Club and past us. That's how I broke the story. He should have been the coach.
He should have been the coach. Yes, he should.
You know why he wasn't, by the way? Because Cliff Hagan wanted to still have some control over the football program. He wanted to have final say over hires and stuff like that. And Howard, being Howard, said, no, I run the football program.
Good for Howard. He made a difference at U of L.
He would have made a huge difference at Kentucky. And the way he passed the ball back then when other teams weren't going to do it, unbelievable. Maybe down the road I can tap you again in retirement in between cross-country stuff. I love your take.
Thank you.
Can I do, but I got to ask you something. Don't be mad at me.
Okay.
If you still love writing, write. That's all I'm saying.
I'm going to probably do some writing. I need to rest for a while.
Yeah, I get
As
that.
I mentioned, I broke my ankle back in July, and I'm still recovering from that. But hopefully, I'll be back doing some work.
Yeah, because you were an artist with your fingers, and you obviously love what you're doing. And so, even if it's done in a different form, you should do what brings you joy, and you're really, really good at it. So,
I appreciate that.
So if I'm bugging you, and next time you come on, I'm probably going to ask you the same thing again because
All
you're
right.
too good not to do it. But
I might have something to tell you.
okay, and that's cool. And I get the spacing part too. I needed a year to detox, so I get it. Anyway, I appreciate your time.
All right.
3 Hall of Fames. Finally, it only took me 6 times for me to figure it out without looking it up. Rick Bozix, thank you, dude. Bless you.
All right.
Have a great
Thanks,
day,
Alan.
and hope to talk to you down the road.
Text me who you thought it was too on the Calipari story.
You'll have it in about 2 minutes. I got to do a spot, and you'll have it right away. And then you're going to tell me if I'm right or wrong. And I won't say the name after that.
I'll let you know.
Oh no! But I'm going to say on the show that either I was right or I was wrong.
Okay.
If I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong, and it's not a big deal.
All right.
Got this one nailed though, Rick. Rick Bozich, kind enough to join us, man. Have a great day.
Thanks, Zach.
Gene Abel is in the hopper. He'll be coming up next. Jimmy, I mean, let's put it this way: the technical stuff, I can get. There's no way I'm wrong on this. The bad news, I shouldn't say that because if I am wrong, I am going to say I'm wrong. Isn't that? That's how I am, right?
That's fair.
That's fair. It's also me. 859-373-0578. Take that number down. Terry Page, a great licensed massage therapist, a healer. Please use my name. 859-373-0578. Butler, Kentucky, couple days a week. Rest of the week here in Lexington, not that far from downtown. She's a special person, helped me tremendously. 859-373-0578. Gene Abel coming up next. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
Great selection of snacks is holding steady while the drive-thru service is rounding out the pack. They're rounding the turn, and it's Clark's Pump and Shop for the win!
Get in the winner's circle with Clark's Pump and Shop. Stop by and pick up Sour Patch or Swedish Fish peg bags, 2 for $6, or Jack Link's Jerky, 3 1/4 ounce bags, 2 for $11. Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. The Quantrell Auto Group has a great deal for this month. Subaru. The Outback is special, so check this out. 0%. That's right, 0% interest for 36 months. And if you want to spread it out to 72 months, 1.9%. What a deal. 0% interest for 36 months. Don't forget, the Quantrell family of dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
My name is Terry Schultz, CEO for the Rutherford County Area Habitat for Humanity. Republic Bank has really been a game changer. They have invested not only financially, but time to really listen so that we can move our mission forward. What I like about Republic Bank is they've come in asking, what are your needs? And I don't know that you get that any other place.
That's Terry's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
W223CV Lexington.
ESPN Sports Radio 1300 and 92.5, WLXG Lexington, and LM Communications Broadcasting Station. The only no-filter sports show in Kentucky. It's the Alan Cutler Show with award-winning TV sportscaster Alan Cutler.
Jimmy, I'm depressed right now. I would have bet you at least 10-1 that I was right on the source where Rick Bozich got that information about what Cal was going to do in the state of Kentucky. I sent the name. I'm not going to say the name on the air. He's sending me another note. If he sends me the person's name, I'm not going to say it on the air. I can't believe I was that wrong. Gene Abel, retired, long time, outstanding sports editor or the Lexington Herald leader. This was a layup for me, and I didn't get it. Now I'm really curious as heck. If he wants to tell me, fine. If he doesn't, fine. I get it. I respect that either way. Wait, whoa. You been in the sun? What have you been doing?
Just a little bit, yeah. What is this, the back end of the Senior Citizens podcast? We talk about going to the bathroom in the middle of the night? No, Rick's great, though. He's what a talented guy with so much knowledge.
Yep. And he should be writing, and I didn't use this example to him. I think, Hal McCoy does my show all the time. I'm lucky and blessed that he does. And after he got retired by the Dayton Daily News, after a gazillion years, he writes a column all the time on baseball and the Reds on Facebook, and it's spectacular. I think they still run like a Sunday column in the Dayton Daily News, but he's writing every day because he loves to write. He loves to write. So us old guys, as I've become one of the old guys, they say, find something you love to do in retirement. Well, this is kind of what I love to do, so I'm doing it. And Rick's a great writer. You don't get 3 Hall of Fame if you're not a great writer. And maybe not the same, but you should write. John Clay's the same way. If John Clay wants to write, he should write.
Right. And each person finds their own way. And I got the feeling, listening to Rick, maybe he does have something that he'll be doing.
Yep.
And that's wonderful.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful. The pay changes a little bit, but you still love what you do, and that's okay too.
I know about those pay changes. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. So, in between working on your tan, I want to play Jimmy. Let's play this one more time. The Stoops thing to get your case on it, and then I really want to talk more basketball. It's not like I'm tired of talking about football, but I think I'm like everybody else. I'm kind of worn out a little bit, but I haven't had a chance to get your take on it. Stoops being defiant, defending, deflecting off my story, which I don't think he answers, but you tell me. I want your opinion. First of all, I can't influence you anyway, nor should I. You are you. It's one of the reasons why I ask you to do the show all the time. But John Hale asked the question. This was Stoops' answer, and then we'll come back, and Gene Abel, outstanding retired sports editor of the Lexington Herald Leader, will respond. Here it is.
Mark, there was a radio report that got a lot of traction yesterday that you approached the administration about negotiating an exit last year. Is there any truth to that?
I mean, I hate to give anything like that legs. There's zero. I told you last year, right? You know what I mean? You guys can write and say what you want about me, but I mean, I told you that there's zero chance I'm walking away. You know what I mean? Zero. And, there's no quitting me. So that's unequivocally 100% false. And anybody says otherwise is lying.
You said at the start, we're not really like.
And I don't want to address that crap no more.
You're taking that, Mr. Gene Abel.
Mark Stoops said he wasn't going to Texas A&M either, and he was going at some point. And that's what coaches do. He didn't really answer the question, and I'm not sure that I would expect him to. I'm not sure what else he would have said. It's just in a bad place right now. Assuming they don't pull off some big stunner, which I don't think they will. And I'm not saying this based on anything I know. It's my gut feeling, having followed this stuff for a long time. I don't expect Mark Stoops to be coaching at Kentucky this time of year from now.
I don't either. And you know what? If they can start a process of winning 5 games and turn it around, and there'll be fans saying, you see, you didn't believe, which I think is really silly. Everybody should believe what they want. They turn it around and shock the world, which has happened before. Look, there was a time, and I bet you agree with this, that it looked like Rich Perks wasn't going to survive. After that 48-0 loss to LSU, and it was really dark around here, and Brooks and the team turned it around, which is all to their credit. So it has been done before in the history of Kentucky football.
Yeah, I mean, Jerry Claiborne's first team's probably one of the worst teams Kentucky's ever had, but It just doesn't have a good feel about it. I mean, I think I said the same thing before Cal's on your radio show before Cal's last year. That for some reason, I think this is probably going to be it. Cal was in a different situation, and then he was still a hot product, and people want him. I'm sure Stoops can get a job. He's not going to get a job like he has now. And he that doesn't, what he said in that interview doesn't say that, he said he wasn't going to walk away. Well, he's not going to walk away. No, he's going to walk away to the bank. But I was read Mark Story's column like the last day or two. I was surprised that his buyout is the 13th highest in college football. That was a little bit stunning to me.
I didn't know it was 13th. I would have guessed it was, in the top 20 somewhere. Good for Mark for coming up with
I mean, if it happened, it would be the second biggest ever. But with present contracts, it's like the 13th. That was surprising to me.
Well, okay, but by the same token, too, there are a lot of people that say if you're in the SEC, getting $9 million is not as big of a deal as it would be if you're at Wake Forest. That these contracts are so much higher, the buyouts are so much higher. I think it's almost a little thing of what you're getting isn't commensurate with what the buyout is, but that's what was agreed to.
Now, the one thing I don't know, maybe you know this, I have not researched it or anything. The stunning thing to me in that contract is that they have 60 days to pay it off.
Right.
Is that a trendy thing? Now, that's what's new to me, and what is really absurd about it. It's not like they can spread this out over 30 years, or if he takes another job, 2 years from now they can stop it. That he gets it one lump sum in 60 days. And that is a problem in a lot of different ways because they don't have that sitting around. They may have 2 or 3 million a year for 15 years.
Yeah, if you had to pay it off in let's say 10 years, it's very doable. Very doable.
But wasn't that the norm before?
Credit Jimmy Sexton. He's got the best agent for coaches going, Jimmy Sexton. And I don't know who he's got now, but at one point he had anybody who was anybody, excuse me, probably still does in the SEC.
Right.
I don't blame Sexton for getting it or trying to get it. I can't believe UK agreed to it. And here's the thing. Now, look, if something happens and a coach says, let's change it, that kind of thing, the agent, you would assume, will listen to his client. But it makes Sexton look really bad. If you put this in a contract and all of a sudden that it changes, now the next guy that it happens to, they'll say, hey, look, you're a Sexton client and this guy did it, so we need to do it the same. And there are times, I know this, agents don't want to give in because it makes them look bad for their future clients, and I understand it and I respect it. When I first saw that, whenever it was, I just didn't believe it. I mean, when the contract came out, you guys had it at the Herald, we had it, lots of organizations have it. It's not that tough. It's an open records thing. It's not a big deal. I threw away all those contracts when I left. I don't know why I didn't take them home. That neither here nor there. I even had Pitino's first contract. I had a stack of them. Not everyone, but I had like a large stack. And you're cleaning up and going, what the hell am I ever going to need this for? And actually, you know what? Pitino's first contract, talking about it, would probably make a really good show.
You're right. That would be. That's you should have kept some of those. Yes.
You know what? I'm not really good at saving stuff. I have like almost no stories I save from TV. My whole life is in TV, and I have really basically nothing. I don't know why. It just doesn't matter, neither here nor there. No, that's the sticking point for this. There's no question about it. But I absolutely believe that people at UK aren't stupid. Do I think there are discussions going on privately behind the scenes? I've been told yes. I do not know that. Okay, so I want to be careful saying that. But by the same token, too, they would be incredibly stupid if they're not having some conversations with some people with some money. And if, unfortunately, this thing totally falls apart, some of the people on the fence might say, oh, crap, I'll throw in $3 million. And I'm not trying to be flippant about it, but some of these people have that kind of money. And maybe some people who don't want to give money might change their mind, that kind of thing, because they feel embarrassed for Kentucky football. Now, by the same token, too, suppose you beat Texas. Suppose you beat Tennessee. Suppose you beat Louisville. Suppose you beat Vandy. And you go to a bowl game. And you know what? One, I hope they do. 2, I'm not losing sleep over it either way. But 3, stranger things have happened. Suppose all of a sudden Cutler keeps on getting better. Suppose they learn how to tackle in the secondary which they're terrible at. There'd be more talk about the terrible tackling in the secondary if there weren't so many problems with the offense.
That's a whole lot of supposes.
I know.
And
I agree with
if those
that.
things happen, he'll be the coach next year. Actually, I think Texas is sort of important in that I'm not going to say they're struggling because they lost at Ohio State and Florida, but they're not a very good offensive team. They may be a somewhat decent matchup, and that could be a game he could pull a stunner out of, and that can change the narrative pretty quick. I don't think one game would do it, but then again, I'm not sure there's a sure win. Even who is it? Tennessee Tech they're playing. They're pretty good.
They're undefeated, scoring a boat
Like
load
56
of
points a game.
points. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, granted, it's not this kind of competition,
Right?
But you're still scoring points,
right? And they're probably playing with a lot of confidence.
Yes, and salivating.
Yes.
We repeat, salivating to play Kentucky, so in their reunions they can say we beat the big boys.
We beat an
South.
SEC team.
They will if they're undefeated going into this game, and I don't know enough about them. I just saw their numbers, and I kind of went, "Holy mackerel!" I don't care if you're playing the Sisters of the Poor; it's still scoring 56 points. But they go on a run. It's just different. It's just every year Kentucky seems to beat somebody they shouldn't beat. Now they need to start doing it in bunches and stuff like that. And if he pulls this off and they win a bunch of games, he'll come out and say, "You guys didn't have enough patience with me." Da 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 da. And he's right. He's right.
Okay. If he pulls it off and his stock goes up, would he look again? Given the atmosphere right now?
I'm going to not answer your question, but answer it this way. You ready? I'm going to get you on this one.
Okay.
Okay. If he leaves here this year, and let's say Ferenc finally retires, if this were 3-4 years ago and they wanted Mark Stoops, could I have seen Mark Stoops going, sort of back home to get a new 5-year contract to start all over again? I could. The problem with what you're saying, I believe, and I'm not trying to be mean or disrespectful to Stoops, who wants him now?
I would agree with that.
So the phone won't ring like it would have before. If he's coming off 10 wins 2 out of 3 years and he wanted to look again, that kind of stuff, if that was a scenario, do I think he would have got some phone calls? Absolutely. And by the way, do I think he's got more phone calls that we know about when they went 2 out of 3 for 10 games? I bet he has. That's kind of normal, by the way. It's not unusual. Cal took a lot of phone calls. He really did. Now, he might hype it a little bit, but I know some places where he could have gone years ago and he didn't go, and that's not surprising. Look, Mark Few at Gonzaga, how many jobs has he turned down? I wonder if they stopped calling him because now he's older and he's turned down so many jobs, it's not even funny. You know what I'm saying?
Well, there's also the question of whether, which I've heard people raise this even the last few years while Stoops is there, is maybe he doesn't want to do it much longer. I mean, if once this runs out, maybe he's coached out and wants to enjoy life, which he should, and he deserves that. He certainly will have the money to.
That wouldn't surprise me. And, people are speculating, and I get that with the speculation, with everything going on, that, dad died of a heart attack, brother got out of coaching early. I'm not being disrespectful. I think if he lost weight and got in better shape, it would help him. Plus, I wonder how much he can work out. Was it ankle or his knee was replaced and stuff like that?
I think it was his knee, wasn't it? I'm not sure.
I wonder if he had ankle. I'm not sure. Whatever it is, it's something, he's not in the condition he was when he got here. Let's put it that way.
Right. I could see him deciding, I'm going to enjoy my time.
More power.
That's great. It's wonderful for him.
Let's put it this way. He could do it at an age you and I couldn't do it.
We will agree to agree and agree on that one.
You could have retired at that age with that much money. Would you have done it?
I'm not sure I could have done it at that point. Now, I don't think so. Could you?
I could have done this.
Yes.
This, and I'm not being disrespectful, but you can't feed your family on this. So
Right.
if you're independently wealthy, you could do this, and it would be what I'm doing now. It's for fun,
Right.
which I appreciate. LM, I've said this a gazillion times. LM Communications, Lynn has kept his word. They leave me alone. I'm having fun, and I appreciate it tremendously.
And that comes through in the podcast. You're enjoying it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I said to Rick, Rick's talented. He should write. I told you a long time ago when you gave up a column, you should have continued a column. And you probably don't remember. We're up arena on the court, and you said, I got a full-time job.
I remember that, and I understand that, but I had reached a point where if I were going to move up the ladder or whatever, or do what I was doing at the Herald League, there wasn't time to do that. And I sort of reached what I thought was the ceiling on one aspect of it and wanted to continue to try to grow. And I was very, very fortunate and had a great situation.
Yeah, and had a lot of great people around you, too.
I was surrounded. All I had to do is steer the ship.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
We played this right at 12. I don't know if you're listening, different audience, but I want to play it anyway. Jimmy, would you cue up the Hadley soundbite? Javon Hadley, he was on the field of 68. And Jeff Goodman is, I think, the most powerful guy in the media covering college basketball today. I don't even think there's a number two. He gets every coach on the show. They trust him on the record. I believe they trust him off the record. I got a little bit behind that, but that's fine. More power to him. But he's an instigator. And if Jeff was sitting here, he would just smile. He's an instigator. He likes to push and push and push. And it works. And it's good. In other words, there's nothing negative what I'm saying. So Javon Hadley, who had a really good year last year, 12 points, 7 rebounds. I think he led the team in rebounding like 17 times. Something like that. He's a really good player. And Louisville's loaded. Kentucky's loaded. Louisville's loaded. This thing is fun. But so he's pushing on the obvious question. Hey, we need the rivalry back. We need the hatred. You got to have the hatred. Got to have the hatred between Kentucky and Louisville. And Hadley took the bait. Here it is.
Yeah, no, we definitely do need that. I mean, we don't like Kentucky at all. Like, it's just like how it goes when you're playing for, the separate teams, whether you like it or not. But yeah, you do need that hatred in you a little bit if you want to play for either of the teams. Like, you kind of just, like, everywhere you go, like, people say, beat Kentucky, or when you're in Lexington, people say beat Louisville. Like, that's just kind of how, people, view the, rich history and stuff like that. So it's expected for sure.
Well, what do you think?
I thought he put it very well without getting nasty. I mean, he said it. That's what it should be. It is a rivalry. They want to beat each other. It's as big a game as there is on the schedule. I like what he said. They'll get after each other, and both coaches seem to be handling it the same way, with having some fun with it, and probably getting a little bit competitive too. And both programs, I think, could be top 5, 6 teams in the country this year.
Wouldn't it be crazy if they met in the
and happened so quick, in 2 years.
Well, with this NIL stuff and kids flip-flopping, it's not that difficult to change a team in 1 year. I like how he put hatred, just like you. It was in I don't know if you can say this. If there's such a thing as a clean hatred, that's it. Right. And maybe the word intense rivalry would be better, but that's his words. He picked up the words from Goodman and used it and that kind of thing. I think it's healthy. I think it's fun.
I mean, this rivalry has been incredible. I mean, the first few years after they were forced to play each other, the intensity, you could just cut a knife through the gymnasiums, and then it never slowed down. But then when you get the Pitino Calipari thing going on for years, that just completely put it on a different level.
I got to ask you this: Rick Bozik's never heard of it. I never heard of it till yesterday. Derek Johnson was great on the show. It was like radio gold, all the stories he told from being in Bobby Knight's office with Dennis. Yes, he's, being recruited for basketball and football and stuff like that. And the stories, and I've done some stories on guys who literally, let's put weights in their pockets. So when they were weighing in Kentucky, if they were too light, that was a problem too. Allen, who's going to the Hall of Fame from Jacksonville, had to put weights in his pocket. Wesley Woodard did it. Littleton Ward did it. I'm sure many guys did. These little things you do. I've never heard of this. So Derek Johnson, who was the strongest guy on the team, had this thing. I'm too short. So for pro day, what he did, he cut up knee pads and put them in the bottom of his shoe to make him like a half inch taller, to be more impressive to NFL scouts. I'd never heard anything like that. He really cracked me up, and it came out of nowhere. And then I'm going, wait a second. It's a really smart idea.
I've never heard that. That's a good one. I've not heard that before.
I mean, think of the ingenuity of a college kid.
Yeah. How tall was he? What was he 6 foot?
I don't think so.
He was. I was going to say 5'10", 5'11". That's pretty good. I hadn't heard that one before.
You know, and I've said this before, everybody in all my time, and it's not because I like him and the family so much, and there were political reasons for this. There's nobody I can think of that got screwed out of playing time more than he did.
I'm not going to go that far, but I think the world of it. Alvis was a friend of mine, and if you didn't like Alvis, you needed help.
Right. Oh, I think there was some jealousy on Alvis, and they took it out on him. Someday I'll tell the story.
I don't know.
Yeah, I do. It's okay. It's just was wrong. It was just wrong. He made one of the greatest defensive plays I've ever seen at Kentucky, by the way. I'm being serious as a heart attack. They're playing Tennessee, and it's 4th and 1. And I don't remember if Tennessee had run the 2 times before. I can't remember that, but I can visualize this like it's yesterday. Tennessee had one of their studly running backs. I don't remember who it was. I don't know if he went to the NFL. I don't know this. But you know, the old jump over the line.
Right.
He met the running back in midair, leaping himself with one shoulder, and pushed him back. The kid went like a pancake and pushed him back. Seriously. It's one of the greatest defensive plays I've ever seen. It's one thing to meet a guy head on, which is very difficult to do, but with a shoulder, he knocked him backwards.
I remember when that happened. Yes.
Do you really?
Yes. Well, unfortunately, Alan, you and I both remember a lot of those things.
Well, you know what it reminds me of? I'm in the corner of the end zone, and I know you remember this. And Kentucky had Tennessee beat.
If you're going to say Mark Higgs.
Yeah.
And Mark Higgs is one of my favorite players ever as a person and a great player, and I think an underrated player. And
yep.
But I will say there was part of me that said, give it to Mark Higgs and see if they can stop him.
Well, that's the theory was you can't stop him twice, you can't stop him 3 times, and he had some of the hugest thighs. Mankind, and he could leap too. He could, and he went up high, and everybody knew what he was going to do. And I'm in the corner of the end zone, waiting to get on the field with my photographer, figuring it's going to be this raucous celebration like crazy. And I think that game set them back years because they finally had Tennessee, finally had him. And on 4th down, he didn't make it. And you could hear a pin drop inside of Commonwealth Stadium. I mean, it was like there was nobody there.
I was stunned. And I think you're right. They did set him back. And Higgy was great, though. What a laugh that kid had.
Oh, he had a great laugh.
Yes.
And you know what? Had a hell of a career in Miami. And you know this. You don't spend that many years with Don Shula if you're not tough. You don't spend that many years with Don Shula if you don't pay attention to what you're doing.
I still remember when he went to UK, one of the assistant coaches, and it may have been Greg Nord, I'm not sure, was coaching the backfield, and said it's the only back they'd ever had where they had trouble. The quarterback had to train himself to be able to turn and hand off the ball to him so quick because Mark was through the line before the quarterback typically was handing the ball off. He was that quick in his first and second step.
Oh, I never heard that. I remember how quick he was, but I never heard that. That's an interesting thing to do.
He could cut on a dime, and had those thighs is just huge. Because what was he, 5'7"?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. And he was on north side of 200 pounds.
Yes.
And a great young man.
Yes, he was fun.
I don't think ever did a bad interview with him. You couldn't. And if you could get him to laugh, he had one of those things. I had a rule that if somebody had a good laugh, you can get him to laugh. Hold the laugh. Hold the laugh.
Yes.
He had a laugh. Reggie Hansen had a laugh. Reggie Hansen had one of the great laughs. And I can't tell you how many times he had the sound bites. If I could say something to him that he would laugh or he'd pick on me and stuff like that. It was just really good stuff. Did you watch Pro Day?
I watched clips of it.
Could you see anything on TV? Because I went there because last year you couldn't see anything. Because I like listening to Goose and Dick. That's cool, but I don't want to see their faces. I want to see what's going on the court. It was so bad last year. I said to myself, once on my brain said, they can't be that stupid again. And then I'm told it was really bad again. And I'm glad I went there because you could see a lot more.
I did not watch it. I didn't try to watch it. I've seen clips of it, but and I don't like to put too much into that. I was thinking this morning that the thing that sort of hits me about this team. I mean, we all talk about the depth, but if you go by the supposed starting lineup that people say, then your second team would be Chandler,
Yep.
Jasper Johnson, Cam Williams, kid from Croatia, and I guess right now you'd have to say JQ
And Noah.
and Noah. Well, that could be the 5 top NBA picks on this team. Think about that.
I hadn't thought about that. You got me thinking. By the way,
On the first 5, which I'm not saying that to downplay the first 5, the supposed first 5, when any of those go higher than 5 of those, and I didn't say Noah, and Noah will be in the top 7 or 8 playing time. So, but I'm just not. I didn't even say Noah, and he's going to play. I don't know what kind of prospect he is, but that second 5 that I just said could be the top 5 drafted players on this team.
let's put it this way. If you can shoot like he does and he continues to work on his body looks different already.
Right.
There's room in the NBA for shooters like that. He's the kind of guy, look, he's got 3 years to go. It's not like he's leaving early. That would be a shocker. But there are other guys who are shooters like him who are in the NBA. And so would it surprise me if he ends up being a second rounder or a free agent who ends up making it this long time between now and then? No. Because I think his handle will continue to get better. I think his handle will help him down the road more and more. Use spacing to get a shot off. I actually think he's going to play in the NBA. I actually think Chandler's going to play in the NBA.
The thing I loved about Noah last year, even before it was clear that we knew he could shoot out of high school, but he finds the ball. I mean, if there's a deflection, you look up.
Yes.
Noah's near it. If there's a loose rebound wandering around, Noah's there. If you see somebody coming off a pick and somebody picks him up, Noah just is one of those guys who finds the ball. And then you're right, he can just flat out shoot it.
Or you could say the ball finds him. It's both the same thing. Yeah. It's a weird thing how many loose balls he got versus the limited playing time he had.
Right.
Crazy.
Yes.
Plus, I think part of it is because he's not afraid to dive and he's not afraid to go after it. So he's got his mindset set that he's going to do it because he wants to do it to get more playing time. He wants to do it to help the team. So I think his mental makeup for finding the ball has a lot to do with it as well.
But some of that is a skill. I mean, no one was probably ever better. The best of that ever may have been Larry Bird. And that is, you see the flight of the ball, you see where it's going, you see the pass, you see the play happening ahead of time. Some of that is a skill.
You know who else was really good at this? You're going to laugh at me. Dennis Rodman was.
Oh, yeah. I'm not laughing at you. John Havlicek was.
Yes. Hondo.
Yes.
Bill Russell said he was the greatest player he ever saw.
Yeah.
Bill Russell said that. It's like he never got tired. I don't know if you heard me say this yesterday, but the guy that really surprised me, that everybody says he's got to have another year, and I get why they're saying it, but I'm going, why? And it's only just one practice. But Brandon Hawthorne, oh my gosh. First of all, he's got the skinniest calves of anybody I've seen on a human being that plays basketball that's 6'8". Second of all, the form on his shot, Gene, is great. And his release is great. And he's got a feel. He's just got a feel. Now, I'm not saying he's Tayshaun Prince, and I get the compare, obviously, because physically they're the same. I'm not saying he's going to be Tayshaun Prince. That's an unfair, disgusting thing to put on a kid. I'm just saying he's got a feel. And I'm saying he hit a couple shots that went up like that. And he's tall, and he's athletic, and he needs weight. I wonder how many meals he's eating a day. You know they're doing anything to put weight on him. I'm not saying he should start. I'm not even saying he should be in the second 5. Somebody's going to get injured. He might end up forcing his way to play a little bit. Might force his way.
I really like what I've seen and heard of him, and it's really good to get a guy like that who hopefully will stick with it. It's going to be hard to find time on this team, but I think if he has the patience, which he certainly talks like he does, he will be a big factor in the Kentucky basketball program before he leaves.
Look, you never know how a kid changes his mind. I have no idea, but the fact he went to camp here and the fact he always wanted to be here and how much it means to him, and I think even not playing, he'll still enjoy it here. Could I see him, I'm not saying 4 years, but could I see him giving it another year to see if he gets playing time? Absolutely. I think Pope's going to be able to keep some kids who don't play, not for 4 years, but I think he's going to be able to keep some kids a little bit longer because of the environment in here.
Right, and that may not getting Hawthorne is probably not as important as getting a Tyrone Stokes if he could land him, but getting the combination of kids who can stay around 2 or 3 years and get better and improve can really be part of a strong foundation that Pope wants to build.
You're a big baseball fan. Before we say goodbye, think the Reds will actually ever get it together?
I'll say what I've said for a couple of months. I think the Reds are in the best position they have been in 20, 25 years or longer to be close to being competitive for a while because of the young arms they have and some young nucleus. They've got some holes to fill. I still think they need a really good hitting outfielder, a guy who can bat third or fourth in the lineup. They probably need a little help in the bullpen, but they have a really dangerous looking rotation moving forward.
I think some of the young guys that are sticking in the bullpen can actually fill some of that void. I'm not saying they shouldn't go out and get somebody, but I think Ashcraft got better, and I think he'll be better next year. Phillips,
I think is a key because Burns will not be in the bullpen.
No,
Burns will be in that rotation, and if the Louder kid, I think I'm pronouncing that kid, from Wake Forest, he is now back and I think playing in Arizona. He's very promising too. You put him in there with that, they're loaded on that rotation.
Well, the suggestion yesterday from Drew Cook, who writes for the Reds blog, he works for MLB, had somebody I hadn't thought of initially. Petty is a guy that was supposed to be one of those guys coming up, and he hasn't really done well. You know what I'm saying? Stick him in the bullpen.
Yeah.
He's not going to get a chance to start. He throws 95 plus. I don't know if he can hit 98 coming out of the pen. As you know, these guys end up getting 1 to 3, sometimes 4 miles an hour faster, sometimes 4 when you come out of the pen and you just throw in anything. But I'm looking at him and Richardson, and I'm good. Maybe they have a formula. Keep on drafting starters, and the ones with great arms who don't make them, sticking them in the bullpen. And be aggressive sticking in the bullpen.
But they do have to strengthen up that lineup a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. I'm not so sure.
And are they going to spend the money if that's what it takes? I don't know.
Well, one, I think Sal Stewart could be a middle lineup guy. And I was convinced, and this is what I can't stand, I think Spencer Steer would be a good number 5 hitter, but he played hurt. He couldn't even throw the ball. The first part of the season, he was worthless. He should have been on a DL, but he toughed it out. When a player can't do anything at all, stick him on the DL. If you lose 3 weeks, but he's healthy coming back, and his shoulder still isn't right, he said at the end of the season. I think he could be a guy, a number 5 guy, if he's healthy, and they didn't let him get healthy.
I'm a big Steer guy. I think he had 90 RBIs his first couple of years. This year he was 80 plus, injured all the year. A key factor, and this is going to be McLean. Was his injury the problem all year, or is he? Because McLean was a better hitter when he and LA came up together.
Yep.
And I think that's a key position. But I still think they need a veteran, a Scott Rowland, a Castellanos, a veteran in the middle that can just sort of take some pressure off. It may not even be totally his numbers, and probably with some real pop in their back, because I'm not in love with the home run or strikeout thing that's becoming baseball now, and I think it's going the other way. But they need a little bit more pop, especially in the ballpark they're playing.
Need to hit more singles instead of trying to swing for the fences.
Yes. I'd love to see the teams like the Brewers playing that kind of ball now, just playing clean, not just home run baseball, the way baseball I remembered. I love that.
Get on base, steal a base, hit behind the runner.
Defend, don't make a bunch of errors.
Yeah. Field, run out of the batter's box, batter's box. What a brand new idea. And if you get a home run, that's great. But on nights you can't get a home run. One of the game Boston won against the Yankees, they hit singles and took the extra base. It's a pretty simple deal.
I'd like to see some more 300 hitters back.
Yep. Thank you for your time. Enjoy the sun. Don't get burned too much. I'm jealous as you know what. I appreciate your time. Glad you're feeling good. And hopefully, if you got some time, I'll catch you next week.
Sounds good. Take care, Alan.
Hey, Gene, thank you, sir. Appreciate you,
Thank
dude.
you. Bye-bye.
See ya. Gene Abel, always fun. Always fun. It's a pretty simple deal. I'm jealous, though. He's got that tan.
It's a good tan to have in October.
Yes. Well, it's a little sunnier where he is. Should I just leave it at that?
Yeah.
Happy for him. It's the way it should be. He's retired. And you know, I don't ask anymore because he said he was, you know, where he was going and stuff like that. The first couple times, Gene, don't do the show. He goes, no, I'll do the show. I got plenty of time on the beach, which is pretty cool. And I appreciate him and really so lucky, appreciative of all the people that do the show. Friendship, really interesting. Smart people. Blue Lotus Health, smart guy, Ramon Carriega. Blue Lotus Health, 859-533-0914. 859-533-0914. 859-533-0914. Acupuncture, now also providing a licensed massage therapist. Please use my name with Ramon Carriega. All kinds of things that acupuncture can help. And as I said the other day, because Ramon said, why don't you use that? I said, okay. Honestly, it took me quite a while before I got comfortable with acupuncture. It did. And then it's gotten to the point like the other day, Jimmy, he gave me a bunch of extra time, which he will often do if the room is open. Doesn't promise you that, but if he can, he will, which is a nice thing. Over deliver and under promise, you know. Did I say that right?
It was backwards. Under promise, over deliver.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was terrible on my part. Under promise and over deliver. Did you see the look at my face? I'm going, did I really say that? And I was so relaxed. My time was more than up, but I could have done another half hour. And the more you relax, the more it helps you. Acupuncture, it's a beautiful thing. It really, really is. I hope he's sticking needles in me 20 years from now. Hope everybody took that the right way. I think they did. Ramon Carriega, Blue Lotus Health. Check him out. Use my name, 859-533-0914. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313. Hi, this is Alan Cutler. The Quantrell Auto Group has a great deal for this month. Subaru. The Outback is special, so check this out. 0%. That's right, 0% interest for 36 months. And if you want to spread it out to 72 months, 1.9%. What a deal. 0% interest for 36 months. Don't forget, the Quattro family of dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
My name is Terry Schultz, CEO for the Rutherford County Area Habitat for Humanity. Republic Bank has really been a game changer. They have invested not only financially, but time to really listen so that we can move our mission forward. What I like about Republic Bank is they've come in asking, what are your needs? And I don't know that you get that any other place.
That's Terry's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Boo! Brett, what are you doing? I'm getting ready for Halloween. Well, it looks like your costume's ready, but what about your candy?
Well, you know Dad and Uncle Rick, at Clark's Pep Shop, we have some spooky deals. All month long, you can pick up 5-hour energy shots, 2 for $4.99, or Rolade sticks, buy one, get one free.
No tricks, all treats this October. Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Yeah, our staff and our players have done an unbelievable job about making that a 100. We have 3 100s as we've talked about, and so we chart every single wedge effort, every single live possession of every single practice all summer long, and we've made great progress. I do think our mobility, one of the things that leads to offensive rebounding opportunities is pace space and mobility in terms of continuous cutting hard, because it's harder to block out moving targets, especially when they're moving and shots are a little bit unpredictable. So I'm really pleased with where we are there. We're going to have to translate it into games, but I think the focus has been great, both by players and staff.
Really good stuff from Mark Pope, and they need to be a better rebounding team. You know, I asked him one time, was it, when he did the show, I asked him about rebounding. And I knew he wouldn't do it, but I tried to say, you guys really aren't that good of a rebounding team. And he would not take the negative. I don't know if you remember, Jimmy. He spun it around and was talking about how they needed to get better, and they were going to get better. I don't know if you remember that one question. And I did it with a smirk. I'm going, let me see if I can get him. And by the way, that's with a smile, not like get him. But I used to have a relationship with Pope, and that would be the kind of thing we'd go to up and back. And Jimmy, I didn't have a prayer.
Not with him.
And
nice try.
Yeah, I didn't think I would, but I had to try. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I wonder if Pope was thinking the same thing. It's all in friendly stuff. We're going to play a soundbite from Chris Budden. I attempted unsuccessfully when she was at WBIR to hire at LAX 18. She was kind of ready to move on, and she was smart not to come work for us. And by the way, that's not a shot at LAX 18 because she was destined for something bigger. She wasn't that long with time. But matter of fact, the next time I saw her was the SEC media. She came up to me, gave me a hug, and said, Alan, thank you for inviting me. She came to our station. Thanks for inviting me, whatever. It just wasn't the right thing. I think I can do something else. I said, I get it, because she was really talented. Well, Jimmy, quickly after that, she went to Fox Sports. She did something tons, and it's not a shot at local TV or my old station. And she's gone from Fox Sports to ESPN. She's won all kinds of awards. And it's interesting, and I watch her because, first of all, I like her as a person, but she's really grown and developed. She's really good at what she does. In the process of time, she never would have said this when she worked for WBIR. Never in a million years. Off camera, maybe, but not on camera. And she said this about travel. Jimmy, I really like this. I don't know if you heard it when I sent it to you, and I'm really curious. We'll both have a quick take, and then it's probably goodbye time. But I agree with her, and I'm going to take back something I said, and I said it, and I meant it at the time, and I still do. But all these things about the flying across the country with you going from California and then to Penn State and vice versa, and you got to be students and stuff like that, and it really is disgusting. And they didn't think of the student athlete, and I get it, and I understand it. I'm not taking it back, but she has a really good point. These are professional athletes now. They are professional athletes. And guess what? Professional athletes in the NBA fly from one part of the country to the other and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's actually worse in college because sometimes in the NBA, you're trying to hop like in that part of the country. Neither here nor there. I don't want to go on a tangent. But she makes up a really good point about these football players complaining about travel when they're making a lot of money. It's a really, really good point. And I just like that Chris did it. She threw it out there. Here's Chris Budden.
If I don't get this off my chest, I'm going to run myself through a window. And I will run myself through a window. If I hear one more Big Ten coach blame it on the freaking travel. I cannot. And it's not even about you accepting the money to be a part of this Super League. These are professional athletes now. Call them what they are. They fly on a charter. All of your top athletes sit on a lie flat plane at the very front, the same way every professional athlete does at the next level. I've never heard Matthew Stafford go over and play in Tampa and say, sorry, I lost today. I had to fly across the country. Baseball players at the next level do it every single day. Basketball players, football players, this is beyond the ability to me to comprehend anymore. You complaining about the travel. It was one thing before they got paid. Now you're getting paid more than 90% of the population. It is part of the job.
Jimmy, I don't like it. I love it. And I'm telling you, she has grown so much. I'm proud of her. I hope I get to see her down the road. Maybe she'll cover a game or something like that. I don't think she covers basketball stuff like that. I'm really proud of her. That's a great take. It really is. And the growing part is huge. Jimmy, there were some times that we kind of talk in between stuff where we each would say, like a strong opinion and trust each other. No, it wasn't going to get on TV or something. Yeah, but to do this as a take, I love this. What did you think?
I echo exactly what you said. As soon as she started with it, if I hear another, I was, yes. Thank you. And I think almost everyone feels the same way because she's right. They are professional athletes. And I get it if the players can complain. But again, going back to, you're getting paid, okay? I think you're going to be all right. I don't think you're sitting in the middle seat of a Spirit Airlines flight. I could be wrong with some of these teams, but I don't imagine that's the travel.
Not the Penn States of the world.
Yeah.
And how many of these teams have charters? You know, I don't know the number of football teams have charters. I mean, come on, when Patino was here, weren't they using the Celtics plane or it wasn't? They were using an NBA plane for a lot of the time. And guess what? That means you could stretch out. I mean, come on. There wasn't beer and that kind of stuff for the players, but they wanted the steak sandwich, I'm sure it was. Good for you, Chris. I'm proud of you. I'm really proud of you. Plus, she's a classy person, and she's moved up and done wonderful things. Huge thank to Rick Bozix. It's wonderful. And Gene Abel, it's wonderful. Looking forward to basketball. Jimmy, as always, thank you, dude. Appreciate you. Podcast will be up in a couple of minutes, and I got to tell you, yesterday's show with Derek Johnson, we spent about an hour together. Today was really good. That was radio gold. Jeff Bedett. Remember Jeff Bedett, wideout for Kentucky? One of the many guests tomorrow. I will look forward to it. Brad Taylor coming up next. Matthew and Jimmy at 10. I'll be back at noon. Can we please be agreeable when we disagree? Can we please just try to get along? Can we please disagree like Jimmy and I did the other day? I can't change his mind. He can't change my mind. So what? So what? My respect for Jimmy was high. It's still high. I can't imagine it won't always be high. It's okay to disagree. We got to learn how to disagree in this country and help each other out.